Okay, we'll just finish quickly the remaining topics, then we'll move to the new area. So we discussed up to National Green Tribunal. Next is National Human Rights Commission. So it is established in 1993 under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. So it's a statutory body established under Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. However, the act which enacted in 1993 was amended later. It was amended significantly in 2006 and even in 2019. The same act also provides for establishment of State Human Rights Commission. State Human Rights Commission. Second key area in UPSC is its composition. Its composition, that is one chairperson, and he must be a former Chief Justice of India or judge of a Supreme Court. And there are also two members, that is judges capacity, judge of Supreme Court or a Chief Justice of High Court, and also three expert members. Three expert members, and there is a criteria or condition in these three expert members, that is at least, there is a mandatory requirement, at least one of them must be women. One of them must be women, and there are also 7 ex officio members who are basically the chairpersons of the various minority commissions. National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Commission for STs, National Commission for Backward Classes, Minorities, Women, Child and people with disabilities. So these are basically the chairpersons of the so-called vulnerable groups. So that is basically the composition. There should be 2 judges, one member judge of the Supreme Court, another member Chief Justice of High Court. The appointment process, President appoints the members on the recommendation of a high-powered committee, and the high-powered committee is also a jumbo committee, selection committee. It's a jumbo committee which consists of Prime Minister, then Speaker of Presiding Chairman of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, that is Speaker of Lok Sabha as well as Chairman of Rajya Sabha, then both the Leader of Opposition of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and finally Home Minister. So that is basically the selection committee. The term is 3 years or 70 years, whichever is earlier. Then their salary and allowances are determined by the central government. They are not eligible for further employment under center or state government. Another key thing is removal. This is also important. So there are grounds for removal. They are eligible to be appointed as, like if they are appointed as a judge, they are eligible to be appointed as a chairperson, but otherwise they are not eligible. Grounds for immediate removal. One is immediate removal. Second one is statutory or criterias, that is Same criteria, that is proved misbehavior or incapacity. So immediate ground means president can remove without any statutory permission if the chairperson or a member is an adjudged insolvent, or if he engages in a paid employment outside the official duties, or if he is of any unsound mind, or convicted or sentenced for offences. If these are the criteria, president can remove. But in the case of proved misbehavior and incapacity, president must refer the matter to Supreme Court. President must refer the matter to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court conducts an inquiry. After the inquiry, Supreme Court gives a recommendation, and presidents must take an action based on the Supreme Court's recommendation or inquiry committee's recommendation. Means whatever be the inquiry committees, if it's finds, this is also act as what? Fact finding committee. Same thing like last class we discussed. So if they finds merit or fact in the matter, then whatever be their opinion, it is binding on the president. President has to remove if Supreme Court recommends removal. So that is a statutory condition. Now their powers, they function as a civil court. Please do remember that they can also take suo motu action. They can also, like in GT, they also permitted suo motu action. They are also permitted, in NHRC also can take suo motu action. Other key functions are inquire into complaints of human rights, which you can eliminate easily by seeing the option itself. Inquire into complaints of human rights violations, or they can intervene in a court proceeding which involve human rights allegations with approval of the court. They can conduct a jail visits to understand the living conditions of the inmates. They can also review the legal safeguards. Similarly, they study the international treaties and recommend implementation and general research, creating awareness, spreading awareness of human rights. These are also their functions. However, there are certain limitations. First major limitation is the recommendations are not binding. They have recommendatory nature. They have no power to punish the violators of human rights. Similarly, they have limited jurisdiction with respect to armed forces. Limited jurisdiction with respect to armed forces. Another key limitation is they can inquire into a matter. Maximum period is 1 year. Means after the expiration of 1 year, they cannot inquire into the matter. They cannot inquire into the matter after the expiry of 1 year. And with respect to their compensation power, what is a key aspect of the compensation power? They can recommend the compensation, but that is also not binding on the central government or the governments. They can recommend compensation, they can recommend damages, but they cannot directly order, okay, you need to pay this much on this date. That is not there. Another key aspect is their international accreditation. International accreditation. So, India is a signatory to Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That is first key aspect. Another thing is, with respect to accreditation, there is Global Alliance on National Human Rights Institutions. Global Alliance on National Human Rights Institutions. These accredit the national human rights institutions, or this give accreditation, and based on their accreditation, the human rights, for example, India's case, National Human Rights Commission, if it is getting the accreditation, then it will get full power, including voting rights. So that is the key aspect. So presently there is a deferral, accreditation is put on hold by a subcommittee on accreditation. The matter is yet to be decided. So our A status, that is the status which is required for full voting rights. So presently our status is deferred, it is put on hold. Previously we used to enjoy A category, A status, but now it is on hold. That means we don't have the full power to vote. Full power to vote. We are in a transitional contested position at present. Only if you are having A status, you are having full voting rights at Ganhri. So that is another challenge Indian NHRC is facing. Next topic is Lokpal. This I think last year question came. So, but anyway, so Lokpal, it is again an independent anti-corruption agency, ombudsman. The key mandate is to investigate allegations of corruption against public functionaries. Such a system is first established in Sweden. An anti-corruption ombudsman system is first established in Sweden, and we come up with this very later, but before that there was suggestions, recommendations. First ARC, First Administrative Reforms Commission, recommended this system. A Lokpal and Lokayukta was first recommended by first ARC in 1966, but the terms were coined by Dr. L.M. Singhvi. And to introduce Lokpal, many times bills were introduced, more than around 8 times, more than 7 times or 8 times the bills were introduced, but it lapsed finally in 2013. Lokpal and Lokayukta Act was passed, especially after India Against Corruption movement. Recently it was in news. First major aspect is that Lokpal changed its motto. A new motto is Empower Citizens, Expose Corruption. Empower Citizen, Expose Corruption, that is a new motto. Replaced the earlier Sanskrit motto and come up with a new motto, that is Empower Citizens and Expose Corruption. Its structure, it is also a multi-member body consisting of one chairperson and a maximum of 8 members. The chairperson must be a Chief Justice of India, former Chief Justice of India, or it can also be a former Judge of Supreme Court or an eminent jurist, eminent person. So that is the criteria for chairperson. Members, maximum members allowed is 8. but there is a key mandatory criteria, that is 50% of these members has to be judicial members. Minimum 50% must be judicial members. And there is also a social diversity criteria. Social diversity criteria, which says that a minimum of 50% members must belongs to SC, ST, OBC, minorities or women. SC, ST, OBC, minorities or women. Appointed by the President with a selection committee, again a jumbo committee, high powered committee, which includes PM, Speaker, Leader of Lok Sabha, Leader of Opposition Lok Sabha, Chief Justice or a sitting judge nominated by the Chief Justice, and an eminent jurist. Nominated by the President. So these are the key things what they can investigate. So under section 14 of the Act, Lokpal and Lokayukta Act, Lokpal enjoys jurisdiction over public servants. So that is why last year it was in news, because even judges are considered, according to High Court, even judges are considered as a public servant, and judges also brought under the purview of Lokpal. But the order is stayed by the Supreme Court. So the first key aspect is that it covers Prime Minister, but with exceptions. Even Prime Minister is covered, but with strict safeguards or exceptions. Means Lokpal cannot investigate matters related to international relations, internal security, public order, atomic energy, space. So there are strict safeguards where Lokpal does not enjoy any mandate. Second key mandate with respect to Prime Minister is that in the case of inquiry against Prime Minister, Lokpal requires a full bench approval. Requires a full bench approval in the case of action against Prime Minister. So that is another key aspect. One is there are certain areas where Lokpal cannot enter. Second is full bench needs to sit for in the case of Prime Minister. It also covers union ministers, MPs, and also bureaucrats, group ABCD, and institutions, public institutions established by an act of parliament or funded by the government, and any body receiving foreign contribution more than 10 lakh a year. Any body which receives foreign contribution, FCRA regulations, foreign contribution more than 10 lakh a year, that is also covered. NGOs, trust, or anybody. That is basically the things which will be covered under this. No. You cannot increase more than 8. So this was in news because mainly remember that presently judges are not covered under Lokpal. But there was an order that is they are also like public servants, because high courts are established under High Court Act. Since it is established under an act of parliament, they are also considered as public servants for the under the purview of Lokpal, so they will come under that. But Supreme Court put a stay on it. Supreme Court said that no, they are also constitutional bodies. That is, Supreme Court's intervention kept it under stay. Now, these bodies, Lokpal, is also act as a quasi-judicial body. It enjoys the powers of civil court, and also it enjoys the power to confiscate assets even while prosecution is pending. Confiscate assets even while the prosecution is pending. It can direct CBI to investigate a case. And can recommend suspension or transfer of public servants connected with these corruption allegations. Now, its procedure, it has two wings. One is inquiry wing, another one is prosecution wing. Inquiry wing conducts the initial inquiry. To see whether there is a prima facie case. If there is a prima facie case, then starts investigation process. So, for this, Lokpal can direct CBI, and if it finds fact, merit in the case, or there is an allegations of corruption, then prosecution wing will take up the matter in a special court. This is the process. So, inquiry wing is there. Inquiry wing will conduct the initial inquiry, and if it finds that okay, there is a prima facie case against the person, against the public servant, then the process, investigation process will start. So, presently the investigation, or Lokpal can direct CBI to conduct investigation or CVC to conduct investigation. They will conduct the investigation. If they submit the report and if there is corruption, then the matter will be taken up by the prosecution wing in the special court. This is basically the procedure. So, inquiry wing and prosecution wing is the internal arms, but investigation is not internal arm of Lokpal. Investigation is by an outside agency. And CBI submits a report, then the matter will be taken up in the court by the prosecution wing. So, they will initiate the legal proceedings. No. That will be established for taking up the corruption cases. So, that will be set up separately under the Prevention of Corruption Act. So, these are the things. That is also covered. Third party is also, there are some provisions. There are some provisions. ठीक है. Yeah. Which collapsed? Which one? I am not understanding. If there is a Lokpal cannot go for that. No, see, it is, see, the key aspect is that it is the objective we discussed. It is against public servants. Any matter related with the public servants will be taken up by Lokpal. But certain provisions are restricted because there is a national security concern. That is why. So such things, especially when PM is, you cannot just put some allegations on PM and say that he is involved in a corruption related to this. That's it. So there are safeguards. And even if you are taking a matter, there is a condition. Because full bench needs to sit, there should be a 2/3 majority. Then only they can issue an order. So it is related to the Prime Minister's, how it is excluded. You cannot take up the matter against Prime Minister in each and every case. Okay, there is an international issue, trade deal signed, or Rafale we are buying, taking the matter directly to Lokpal. Means? See, that is something which is having, I don't know exactly whether only you are saying only monetary aspect will be. See, sometimes when you say, you just take up the case of judges are concerned. Sometimes it may not be exactly proven that okay, there is a monetary gain. It can be some other case also. So, see, no, it's not like that. It is basically, see, government want to protect certain areas against unnecessary allegations. Or a Lokpal should not have a bandwidth to enter into anything. This is the same problem with when this court said that okay, judges are also included. Supreme Court said that this is very troublesome. When this order came, this is very troublesome because you are just that High Court Act is British Era Act. High Courts were established under a British Era Act. Now taking that act and when you are saying that okay, they are also public servants, they will come under the purview of Lokpal, I will conduct an inquiry into them. So it is having some concerns because it goes against the problem is what? Judiciary's model. So there is a judiciary's model of investigating into corruption, and you also need to protect the independence of judiciary, trust of judiciary. So there are certain areas which needs to be protected. So you need to, even conducting an inquiry against Prime Minister otherwise is also not possible. Next is Press Council of India. So Press Council is the moral guardian of India's print media. Remember this, print media. Press Council of India is the moral guardian of India's print media. It is a statutory body established under Press Council Act 1978. Press Council Act 1978. However, it was first established in 1966 under a different act. So don't confuse that. It was first established in 1966 under Indian Press Council Act. Later Press Council Act 1978 was brought in and it was reconstituted, PCI. November 16th is celebrated as National Press Day. Next is the two objectives of PCI, that is, it is not given in your handout. Which page? Yes, very good. Two objectives. So one is protect the press freedom, and another one is maintain the moral journalistic standards. Maintain the standards, high standards, moral responsibility. But remember, its jurisdiction is only to print media. Only to print media. That can be a catch point, trap point. It does not cover the TV news and things like that, digital media, TV news. It is chaired by, generally, it is chaired by a retired judge. That is a convention. And appointed by the president. It also enjoys the powers or functions like a civil court, and it also enjoys a suo motu power, that it can take action if it thinks that that step is violative of press freedom. It is also enjoys suo motu power. It can take action if it perceives threat to freedom of press. Similarly, to ensure high standards, it can warn, censure journalists, those who violate the journalistic ethics. Very difficult position, but print is better. Print is still better. In India's print media case, print is better. And PCI does not have a role in, the paid news. Like it does not have any other punishing powers. It just enforces the normal journalistic conduct. It does not enjoy any penal power. It can just do moral sanction. That's it. It can say that I censored, I am warning you, don't do. Who is concerned? That is the problem. Next is Central Information Commission. So, we already discussed, I think, RTA and DPDP. Thank you. So, there are 2-3 tones which we will imbibe in our culture. One is schools, whenever teacher comes, there is a tone. Good morning. It's always, all schools, and I think in India it is like that. There is a tone. Similarly, when you ask something, yes sir. So there is a tone. Thank you. So, in the case of RTA, the first level is PIO. So you can request something from the PIO, and if there is any problem, to whom you can appeal? First appellate authority. This is the first appellate authority. Who is the first appellate authority? Yeah, senior to PIO. Piyush filed a case and then you appeal to the senior, right? You appeal to the state also, I think. You appeal to the state. Okay. So this is the first appellate authority, senior to the PIO. You can file an appeal. Then if you are not getting any response, then comes, in the case of central, CIC, central cases, central authorities, central public institutions, CIC will come into picture. So CIC is the second appellate authority, and it is binding, it is final. So that is the thing. It is a final appellate authority under Right to Information Act. It is a statutory body established under? So very good. Knowledge, deep knowledge. And CIC's jurisdiction extends to all central public authorities. Composition, tell me the composition. Composition is what? CIC is there and there is ICs. What is the criteria? Not more than 10 information commissioners. What is the qualification? Eminent persons. Eminent persons. So we people can become eminent persons. That's it. Okay. No other qualification. Disqualification. What is the disqualification? Yeah, they cannot be MP, MLA, political party member, all these things. That is the disqualification. They are appointed by the president based on selection committee, small selection committee, because it is Central Information Commission. Prime Minister, leader of opposition, and a union cabinet minister. Where is my Tamil Nadu friends? Last class they asked some doubt. Yes. So you asked about that selection committee, right? What was that? What was the question? DGP, yes. So in a one news there was, which are the members generally? Yeah, UPSC chairperson, then Home Secretary, okay, then Chief Secretary, then current DGP. These were the 4 members. There was also one more member. He is generally considered as, see, the term is used officer, but they are generally like the chief of paramilitary force, CRPF, etc. They are also being consulted. That is also there. Some areas it is mentioning, they are being consulted. So you can say that an officer recommended by center. Okay. So that also you can mention in the DGP. DGP is a very important topic. Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, and you don't know what is DGP. You will think that it is data guardian police. So these are the things now, but there are certain changes with respect to the terms and service conditions, especially after 2019. After 2019 amendments, there are certain changes. So first one is, so original act provided for some fixed tenure, but after 2019 rules, right to information rules, the term is now 3 years. Term is 3 years, and they are not eligible for reappointment. IC can be appointed as CIC, that's it. They are not eligible for reappointment, and their salaries are determined by the government, central government, but cannot be varied to their disadvantage. Means once they took some EMI, please don't change their salary, let them pay the EMI. Okay, so salary is determined by central government. It cannot be varied to their disadvantage. Previously the salaries were equal to judge of Supreme Court. They also enjoy the powers of civil court. So these are the things. And what about the decision of CIC or State Information Commissioner? To क्या recommendation है उसपे? Report submit किया क्या? It is appeal. It's an appellate authority. So when it's active, it's basically, it is not its power is what? Sit on the appeals. Yeah. So if there is a delay, 30 days you are not giving the information, then the matter can be taken to the next level. If it is not given the information, it can be taken to the CIC. CIC can say that okay, you furnish the information, or CIC can impose penalties. That is what CIC. Now my question is, so CIC sitting on appeal, and what about its decision? What about its award? What about its order? It is binding. It is binding. CICs or State Information Commissions, their decision is binding. They cannot be removed by president. Same, like there are certain direct grounds for removal. President can directly remove if there is financial or other issues, insolvency, or if there is proved misbehavior or incapacity, then it should be referred to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court inquiry will decide. Same model. Next is FSSAI. This is just matter more of a match the following kind of area, because it is the apex food regulator. Government is very much interested in controlling the eating habits of Indians. So that is why it is in news for, and mains its question already came last year mains. So you just need to know what are the key aspects. It's a statutory body established under Food Safety and Standards Act. Food Safety and Standards Act. So it was established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, and the nodal ministry, it operates under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. That also please remember. The core mandates, key mandates of the body. First one is standard setting. Standard setting, lay down the standards for food articles, how much sugar in a jalebi, this is it. Regulate the manufacture, storage, distribution, regulate the various aspects of food articles, manufacture, storage, distribution, import, sale, everything of food articles. And also controlling various health related aspects, public health, focus on public health. Next is executive bodies, or bodies other than these constitutional and statutory bodies in use. First one is Law Commission. These are all, just you need to know what is that, that's it. They won't ask like big statements and all. So it is a non-statutory body. It is established by a government order. It functions under Ministry of Law and Justice. Ministry of Law and Justice, and it is just an advisory body. Just an advisory body with a primary function is legal reforms, bring legal reforms. And it is constituted generally for a fixed term of 3 years. Fixed term of 3 years. So the present commission is 23rd Law Commission. So that's it. Next is Pay Commission. That is another body, again a non-statutory, nothing. It is just a commission established by government to review the salary structure. So after service, this will be the only commission you will be looking for. No other commission, nothing. Okay, so reviews the salary structure of the employees, central government employees. Its recommendations are also advisory in nature. Generally, by nothing like there is no rules, there is no law, nothing. So generally it is constituted every 10 years, but that is not mandatory. And it does not cover contract employees. Contract employees. Presently 8th Central Pay Commission is approved by the Union Cabinet. 8th Central Pay Commission is approved by the Union Cabinet. Chairperson is Ranjana Prakash Desai. Just remember this, that's it, not much relevant. They decide the fitment factor. They decide the fitment factor, that is a multiplier, a specific multiplier used to calculate the new salary. So for example, 7th Pay Commission, if it is 100 rupees a salary, say it will say the fitment factor is 2. So then now onwards it will be 200. So that is a fitment factor. So that just remember, nothing else, not much relevant. Next, last topic here, CBI. Nothing. Next is the CBI. So CBI is officially, its origin can be traced back to Special Police Establishment. That is the origin, Special Police Establishment set up during the British period to investigate into corruption matters. But it was formally established in 1963 through a resolution by Ministry of Home Affairs. It is not a statutory body, it is an executive body established through a resolution by Ministry of Home Affairs in 1963. And this was based on the recommendations of Santanam Committee. These kind of facts are important. UPSC will ask these kind of facts. However, it derives its investigative powers from, it's established under a resolution, but its investigative powers are from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. It functions under DOPT. Its motto, industry, impartiality and integrity. Why you are smiling? Industry, impartiality and integrity. Next is, so since it is established under DSP, its powers are generally limited to central government employees and also in union territories, because the law will be applicable in union territories. So it is applicable to central government employees and union territories. Otherwise, it requires consent. It requires consent because law and order is a state subject. So the consent is required. One is general consent. General consent. So this is based on section 6 of DSP. General consent. General consent is a blanket permission given by states for conducting investigation in their state. Blanket permission. Then there is specific consent. So some states removed general consent. So if CBI want to inquire into those states, what is the option for them? Yeah, specific consent, case to case basis. Or if there is an order from constitutional courts, High Court and Supreme Court. If there is an order from constitutional courts. So many states like Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, all withdrawn general consent. Or if the case is registered in New Delhi. If the case is registered, if that corruption case or that matter is registered in New Delhi or a jurisdiction which comes under the DSP. Further, Supreme Court recently gave permission, that is under this only. Supreme Court recently gave permission for CBI to conduct investigations related to digital arrest in any state, and it asked the state to give permission for this. Conduct inquiry. You're asking something? Just relaxed. Okay. Next is Bharat Poll. Bharat Poll is a digital platform to streamline international cooperation, police cooperation with Interpol. Because CBI is the nodal agency for working with Interpol. It is India's National Central Bureau, NCB. Recently also there was another thing, that is Interpol introduced a silver notice. Okay. Silver notice to trace the assets. It piloted a new, it's having color coded systems. So a new color coded system, that is silver notice, to trace assets and to ensure international cooperation in tracking economic fugitives. So these are the things with respect to our first phase. There are few acts in news, few government, that thing is separate. That we'll discuss in IR. Yes. Or if it is committed by a public servant who is having something, see, any public servant will have automatically, any central public servant will have automatically some Delhi thing. So you can register the case in Delhi and you can conduct, that is what they did in West Bengal. They registered the case in Delhi and CBI went there, Mamata Banerjee said then no. Okay, next is another subject we are moving. So the basic questions from this area in UPSC PT is coming from a specific topics. First one is places in news. That is an area where UPSC is asking questions, but these are mainly match the following type of questions. That is the major thing, or simple statements, mapping questions. So in places in news, you can divide that into mainly into geopolitical conflicts. For example, what is happening is mainly in the Israel, Palestine, Iran, so geopolitical conflicts. So the areas in news related to this geopolitical conflicts will come as a question. Or if there is issues of coups or instability, places where there is some kind of civil unrest, coups or instability. Or some issues related with other crisis. It can be food, economic crisis. These are the areas from where UPSC is asking. Note, you don't need to know each place in news for the past 2 years. Please don't do such things. Downloading places in news and opening your atlas, and it's not practically possible. So always should have clarity. Okay, what are the questions UPSC is asking? Understand the previous year's questions to proceed, to move forward. That doesn't mean that mug up the PYQs and they'll ask, they will ask. They won't ask. Even Putin forgot that. Next area is international grouping. This is also high value area. You are getting 2 to 3 questions or 4 questions from this area alone. International groupings. So one is the UN and bodies. Second one is important multilateral groupings. Third is regional groupings. These are the 3 areas. Third area is international treaties. International treaties in news, agreements, treaties in news. That is another key area, international treaties or key agreements in news. Fourth one is India's bilateral relations. India's bilateral relations, both with major powers and our neighborhood and immediate neighborhood. That is majorly the question. India's bilateral relations. Fifth one is the economic diplomacy. Other than these agreements, economic diplomacy, which include connectivity, infrastructure, so infrastructure projects, connectivity projects, such economic diplomacy questions are also coming. And there is also, of late it is bit less, that is reports. Major reports, indices reports, that is also the key area. So these are the 6 areas from which UPSC is asking questions, and it is mostly factual. There is hardly any concept here, it is factual. So either you need to listen that 1 or 2 times, or you need to read that 1 or 2 times, that's it. Because it is purely factual things. And we'll start with this is an area from where you are getting most return on the investment. You can selectively study and you can solve the questions. So we'll start with that, international groupings. And the first one is UN and its various entities. Under UN, we'll start with the UNGA. So United Nations General Assembly, it is in general, it is called as the Parliament of the World. It is the Parliament of the World, means it gives representation to every country. Representation to every country means every country is getting 1 seat and 1 vote in UNGA. 1 seat and 1 vote. So this is basically in general it is called as this particular model, that is one seat, one vote, is called as, what is it called? Locarno spirit. Locarno spirit, that is basically a post-World War reconciliation efforts between Western European powers, where they started focusing on sovereignty equality. So that is the initial thing, Locarno spirit. But with the establishment of UN Charter, some are calling now it is more of San Francisco spirit. Both are idea is same, one seat, one vote, Locarno spirit or San Francisco, referring to the San Francisco Conference of 1945, through which UN Charter was established. So that is why it is Parliament of the World. Every country is having one seat, one vote, and it is a deliberative policy making, deliberative representative body. And UNGA is one of the 6 principal organs of UN established under, what is principal organ? Those bodies established under UN Charter. UN Charter. UNGA also grants power to observer status. UNGA also, other than the members, it also grants observer status. So there are 2 entities, that is Holy See, that is Vatican, Roman Catholic headquarters, and Palestine. These are given observer status by UNGA, plus there are some other entities also. These are basically, you can see, national, like, yeah, there are also other entities which are also given observer status, including ISA, International Solar Alliance, is also getting or given an observer status. So UNGA can grant such observer status to non-member states or international organizations. So these are the 2 important examples. So how it is given? It is given through a UNGA vote. It is given through a resolution. Second key function is electoral roles. Electoral roles. Its role in shaping leadership. Role in shaping leadership through elections. For example, elections to UNSC. Election to UNSC, that is to 10 non-permanent members. Election to UNSC non-permanent members. It also elects members to ECOSOC or elects members to ICJ, International Court of Justice, but here its power is simultaneous with the power of UNSC. Means if you want to get elected, you need to win both UNSC as well as UNGA. UNGA. You need to win both UNGA and UNSC, then judge will be appointed into ICJ. Its decision making. So important questions, that is peace, security, admission of a new member, budgetary aspects, these are considered as important questions. Important questions require 2/3 majority. Other questions only simple majority. However, UNGA's resolutions are non-binding. UNGA's resolutions are non-binding. It also appoints here itself election. You can remember one more thing. It also appoints Secretary General. But here there is a condition. What is the condition? Recommendation from UNSC is required, mandatory. It also appoints. Appointment is done by UNGA Secretary General, but it appoints Secretary General based on recommendation from UNSC. Recommendation from UNSC. Next is United Nations celebrated 80th anniversary in 2025. It established in 1945 and celebrated 80th anniversary in very good, 2025. So UN80 is celebrated it under UN80 with a theme better together. Very good theme, better together, 80 years and more for peace, development and human rights. Sometimes when you read, you will think what a beautiful ideas. So that is it. One more key aspect, MCQ trap is there. Related to general debates. Related to general debates in UNGA. And as per the convention, as per the protocol, the speaking order, what is the speaking order? Who speaks first? In general debates. Non-permanent member. सारे non-permanent member ही है, 5 ही है permanent. सारे लोग इकट्ठा आके. Who will speak first? Brazil will speak first. That is a convention, that is a trap, that is a convention, nothing else. Because initially when it was constituted, nobody was ready to speak, everybody was reluctant. Brazil was very smart in the class. He said, "Chalo kuch nahi, I will tell something." So that is why that general convention in debate is Brazil will speak, next will be US. That will be the general, in the general debate, that is a speaking order. So second will be US. US being the host country will speak second. But I don't know now whether Trump is speaking or not. But that is a general thing. It was in news. It was, that is why I'm just giving you. So these are the key aspects. Next one is they also observe days. Do remember these kind of days which are in news. So one is International Year of Women Farmer 2026. That is already question, right? International Year of Women Farmer. Last year question came. So it is UNGA observes 2026 as International Year of Women Farmer, and FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, will facilitate its implementation. So these are the key things. Next is UN budget. UN budget. So it is also in news because of the concerns raised by UN Secretary General itself about the falling budgetary support to United Nations. So the most important aspect is that with respect to the budget, UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, UNGA plays a significant role regarding UN budget. It is the body responsible for approving the budget. It approved the budget. Means UNSC does not hold any power with respect to UN budget. The power is under UNGA. So that is a key aspect. And it is based on two models or two bucket system. First one is assessed contribution, second one is voluntary contribution. Same thing with respect to other US bodies also. Assessed contribution, that is kind of a membership fee. So it is mandatory that every member should pay its assessed contribution based on its capacity to pay. So that will be assessed, and whatever is its payment that it has to complete it or it has to do it. So two things, first one is assessed contribution. So it is mandatory fee that member states must pay, and it is based on capacity to pay. Capacity to pay, which will be decided by GDP, population and all those things. So this covers the regular budget. This covers the regular budget, which include the general expenditure activities. But it is actually, it covers only very minority, very less cost. Majorly it is coming from voluntary contributions. Same thing with other UN entities also. Voluntary contributions. These are basically, one is membership fee, another one is donations. So majority of the funding comes from these voluntary contributions. Next is, there is one more key aspect, that is honor rolls. So this was also news because India is in the honor roll. It is an exclusive list of UN member countries, member states, which paid the regular budgetary requirements on time, that assessed contribution, which paid the regular budgetary contributions or assessed contributions on time, fully on time. So this is very key aspect. So very few countries are there. There are around 193 member states in UN, but as per the newspaper reports, around 47 only in the honor roll, and India is one among that. This is also an important example for your mains, multilateralism. India's commitment to multilateralism is shown through India's actions like this. So yeah, can contribute, that is voluntary. So this is okay. So remember this honor roll, that can come as a statement also. It is not any top 10 countries, it is basically these are countries that completes the payment of assessed contributions. Okay. Next is UNSC. So another principal organ is UNSC, United Nations Security Council. It is also established directly by the UN Charter 1945, similar to the other principal. All principal organs are established directly by the UN Charter. And what about specialized agencies? One is principal organs. We discussed one principal organ. We are discussing another one which is also in use. What about specialized agencies, which also we'll discuss? What is a specialized agency or specialized organ, specialized entity? Yeah? Yeah, they are having a relationship with the UN through a separate agreement. They are having a relationship with the UN. So they are independent, they are autonomous. But they work with the UN through a separate agreement, negotiated agreement. So they have their own funding models and all, but they are related to UN through a separate negotiated agreement. What about subsidiary bodies? Subsidiary bodies are basically the principal organs. If they are tasked with a lot of multiple things, then it will constitute a subsidiary body. That is basically the subsidiary body. It is constituted to perform specific task by the principal organs. That means they are not completely independent, they report to the parent body. Whatever be the parent body. For example, UNESCO, ECOSOC, basically ECOSOC is having a lot of functional bodies. So the selection will be done by ECOSOC, that body will report to ECOSOC, parent body. So they do not have any separate international treaty like specialized agencies. So next is UNSC. It is one of the 6 principal organ. So if UNGA is parliament, UNSC is the enforcement arm. Enforcement arm of UN, United Nations. Its primary responsibility is maintaining international peace and security. Maintain international peace and security. And its key aspect is its power, which comes from chapter 7. Its power comes from chapter 7 of UN Charter. Which basically gives UNSC, or under this UNSC becomes the primary entity, primary body that can authorize military action. That can authorize military action against another member or another state. So it is having some power. What is the major power? Legitimate use of force, legitimate use of force, which is derived from chapter 7. So this chapter 7 only enforces collective action or sanctions, collective action, sanctions or military force. Or collective action. So if with respect to CATSA, it comes under which part? No. CATSA is US legislation. CATSA is US legislation. CATSA is imposed not under chapter 7 sanctions. UNSC sanctions will be separate. There is sanctions committees are there. But CATSA is a US domestic legislation. So, and the UNSC's another key aspect is that it has binding resolutions. So it can issue binding resolutions. So when a Security Council makes a decision, the UN member states are legally bound to act according to the decision. Legally bound to act according to the decision. Next is its composition. P5 and non-permanent members, that is 10. P5 members and then non-permanent members. P5 members possess veto power. Non-permanent members does not enjoy any such power, and they will preside over UNSC in rotation. In rotation means P5 as well as non-P5 members will preside UNSC on rotation. And a retiring member is not eligible for re-election, immediate re-election. A retiring member is not eligible for immediate re-election. There is also a term for this under this non-permanent, for example, every year, class of 2026. There is a group will retire, another group will become non-permanent members. So this class of 2026, why it is important is that, so 5 new countries are elected for the 2026 terms. These are Bahrain, Colombia, DRC, Liberia and Latvia. What is most significant is Latvia is taking the seat for the first time. This is important. Latvia is taking the seat for the first time. It's a debut on the council. So it's a Baltic country, first time. So why did not take this seat before? What can be the reason? What could be the reason? Geopolitical importance, now it got. It did not apply before. Unnecessarily thinking, nothing else. Next is sanctions committees. So the key aspect with respect to UNSC is the sanctions committee. Just remember the important sanctions committees. First one is 1267 sanction committee. This was previous question. 1267 sanctions committee, that is global terror list. Global terror list. Its mandate is to sanction terrorists and entities linked to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So that is the first one, 1267 sanctions committee. It's a global terror list specifically focusing on IS and Al-Qaeda. That is the terror list mainly. But there is a P5 members, or in general, they enjoy veto power. So inside the main UNSC, they enjoy veto power. They can put a hold on any substantial resolutions. Here what they will do, they will put something called as technical hold. Technical hold. If they think that their technical committee is yet to review the sanction, then it can put a technical hold and thereby prevent its applicability on that entity. So if China is putting a technical hold on, say for example, JEM, Pakistan, then it will put a hold on the applicability of the sanctions on that entity. So this is basically a procedural tool to stall a proposal. Next is another key aspect is 1998 committee. This mandate is specifically monitoring Taliban. It is specifically related to Taliban. This kind of math, the following you can expect. Specifically related to sanctions on Taliban in Afghanistan. And then there is 1373 Counter Terrorism Committee. 1373 Counter Terrorism Committee. It basically oversees, monitors the implementation of Resolution 1373. Resolution 1373, which basically about all countries, all states has to criminalize terror financing. All countries has to criminalize terror financing. There is also one more resolution in use, Resolution 2803. Resolution 2803. This basically proposed a board of peace. Internally, this is different what is established in general. It proposed a board of peace for Gaza. Okay, next one is Article 51. Article 51 of UN Charter. So this is in news because of Indian context as well as other geopolitical conflicts, including Venezuelan issue. So the general rule under United Nations, first is the general rule. The general rule under UN Charter basically says that war is an illegitimate instrument for settling disputes. It prohibits war. War is an illegitimate instrument for settling disputes. So Article 2 subclause 4. Article 2 subclause 4 prohibits use of military action, military force against the territorial integrity of any state. Against the territorial integrity of any state. But there is an exception, that is Article 51. Exception is Article 51. Article 51 provides for, one exception is if there is an authorization by UNSC. If there is an authorization by UNSC, because it has the power to maintain international peace and security, to take collective action. or it also provide for a legal exception for states for self defense. For self defense. Peacekeeping missions are generally UN peacekeeping missions are generally falls under chapter 6. Peacekeeping mission generally falls under chapter 6. Also remember, UN does not have any standing army. UN does not have any standing army. So now, with respect to self-defense, the trigger, the prerequisite is armed action. The prerequisite to right to self-defense means it is activated or it is triggered only if there is an actual armed attack. It is triggered only if there is an actual armed attack. So that is the key aspect. It also means there is also a procedural condition. If you are taking any action as part of self-defense, an armed action, because of an armed attack, you are also countering it with an armed action. What is the precondition? You need to immediately inform UNSC. Means once you are taking any action, it is your responsibility to inform that to, immediately you need to report that to UNSC or UN Security Council. You are basically saying that now you need to step in. So I am informing you because I want collective action. There is also another key threshold, that is, it should be based on necessity and proportionality. These are interpretations. These are interpretations. So first one is, it is permits only if there is an armed attack, means armed attack is happening or it's underway and you are countering with an armed attack. So you can counter it as part of your self defense, but you need to report that to UNSC. Plus you also need to ensure that it is based on something called as general, that is general. It is also should be based on Caroline criteria, that is, if there is imminent threat, means this is allowed, but if there is imminent threat, anticipatory aspect, if there is any imminent threat, anticipatory self-defense, it is permitted only based on strict Caroline criteria, that is, the threat must be instant. And overwhelming, very high threat, leaving no choice or no moment for deliberation. Third one is preemptive strike. Preemptive strike. So this is a controversial expansion of the self-defense criteria. Preemptive strike is not given under 51. This is also interpretation only. But here it is preemptive, means there is nothing, no armed attack, nothing. You are going for a preemptive strike. So in that case, this is not given under 51. There is nothing like preemptive strike for self-defense is given under the Article 51 of UN Charter. It is completely against what is given under Charter. So this is more of a controversial expansion, mainly by states like US. So they are going for this thing under something called as unwilling doctrine. Unable and unwilling doctrine. Unable and unwilling doctrine. So they are of the view that UN Charter was written in 1945, but now there is a lot of non-state actors action which is also causing territorial threat to territorial integrity. So if a state is unable or unwilling to take action, then they can go for strikes, armed attacks. But this is nowhere explicitly given. Even ICJ is not given any kind of judgment regarding this. ICJ is basically of the view that you can take action only if there is doctrine of effective control. If there is doctrine of effective control. So you cannot attack a country if there is a terrorist group in that country. You have to prove that that country is under the effective control of the terrorist group. The overall control is with the terrorist group. Next is UNHRC. Yes, that is expansive interpretation. That's 51. Yes. But that is not there. 51 is not talking about any such things. 51 is basically saying that you can, there is two exceptions. One is if there is an authorization by UNSC or if there is self-defense. But self-defense is only, based on if there is an armed attack. Rest is all interpretation. United Nations Human Rights Council. No, that is basically interpretation. There is nothing like a criteria, but interpretation. You can do only when there is actually there is a threat, imminent, instant threat, and you don't have any other choice. See, what 51 says is that if there is an armed attack underway, means you are attacked, now you are countering it. But Caroline test is that before that there is actually a threat which is imminent, you don't have any other, no deliberation, no diplomacy, nothing, you are going for it. ICJ. Next is UN Human Rights, UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Council. So it was established in 2006 by UNGA. It is an intergovernmental body within UN system. It is an intergovernmental body within UN system. The objective is strengthening and protection of human rights. Strengthening and protection of human rights. So it was created in 2006 by UNGA. It replaced a former Commission for Human Rights, which was basically discredited. It replaced a former commission. It is not a principal organ, it is a subsidiary body. So it's a council made up of sovereign states, countries. Not all are members generally for meeting purpose, otherwise all are members. Its strength is 47 member states and they are elected directly by UNGA. 47 member states elected generally directly by UNGA. And they enjoy a tenure of 3 years. But a member is not eligible for re-election. Member is not eligible for immediate re-election after serving 2 terms. Means after 6 years they are not eligible for immediate re-election. So these are set up under the UN Charter's subsidiary organ. It is also a subsidiary organ. One major condition is that only after 2 terms it is restricted. It cannot immediately become a member. India elected unopposed for 2026-2028 term. India elected unopposed. And this is India's 7th term. It also conducts, UNHRC conducts Universal Periodic Review, UPR of human rights. Universal Periodic Review of human rights. So it basically reviews the human rights record of UN member states periodically. It also appoints experts to investigate. It also appoints experts to investigate specific concerns or countries. US as usual, Trump administration announced withdrawal from UNHRC. It is saying that it is a wasteful expenditure. There is also a bureaucratic arm of human rights. What is that? Office of Human Rights Commissioner. That is a bureaucratic arm. That is different from UNHRC. Human Rights Commissioner. Next is ECOSOC. There are certain the factual aspects with respect to UNESCO, which is basically heritage list, which are added and all, which I will give you. So next is ECOSOC. UN Economic and Social Council. UN Economic and Social Council. So it basically acts as a development, for your understanding purpose, development think tank. So one is a parliament, second one is an enforcement, third one is development think tank. It is also one of the principal organ, and it handles socio-economic and environment, social, economic and environmental developments. Its membership is 54, elected by UNGA. 54 members elected by UNGA for a 3-year term. It also seats are allocated based on geographical representation. So it basically focuses on the 3 aspects, 3 dimensions: sustainable development, economic, social and environmental. It is like 54 members elected directly by UNGA. They serve a term of 3 years and they are based on geographical location. These 54 seats are strictly allocated based on the geographical groupings. India's position: India secured a win in the ECOSOC election for 2026-2028 term. India has become member of many groups this year. It is a problem for you, not for India. Huh. No, they can also not. India has successfully got a position in ECOSOC under Asia Pacific Regional Group. So China is also a member now, India also. It has functional commissions. ECOSOC has functional commissions. ECOSOC has functional commissions similar to the subsidiary bodies. Subsidiary bodies. So ECOSOC will be the parent organ. So there are many such subsidiary bodies under ECOSOC, prominent being UN Statistical Commission. UN Statistical Commission. UN Commission on Status of Women. Then UNCND, that is Narcotic Drugs, Commission on Narcotic Drugs. See, we discussed the UNGA gives permanent status to, observer status to member countries as well as international bodies. But there is an MCQ trap here. Do you remember that? It is the Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations. Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations, which handles NGO accreditation. International NGO accreditation, not UNGA. It is a subsidiary of ECOSOC. Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations, NGO, a subsidiary of ECOSOC. It handles the NGO accreditations. Next is International Court of Justice, ICJ. No, international NGOs. It is not, generally those things are basically a role of UNGA, giving observer status for international entities and all. But giving an NGO, that will be not UNGA, it is ECOSOC. It is not UNGA. That is the trap here. International Court of Justice, ICJ. This is also exceptionally active in 2025 period. So it is a principal, it is also a principal organ, and it is the principal judicial body of United Nations. Its headquarters, Peace Palace, The Hague, Netherlands. It is called as the World Court. So Parliament, enforcement or the police. Now this is the World Court. World Court. Its composition. "15 judges." It's comprised of 15 judges, and their tenure is 9 years. Their term is 9 years, and they can be reappointed. They are eligible for reappointment or re-election. Election process is what we discussed. The candidate needs to win both majority of UNGA and UNSC. Candidate needs to win the majority of both UNGA as well as UNSC. Means you need to win both the entities, then only you will get elected. Similarly, no two judges can be of nationals of the same country. No two judges can be nationals of the same country. Four Indians have served as members of ICJ till now. 4 Indians have served as the members of ICJ. Presently, Justice Delvir Bhandari is in his second term. Okay. So what are their functions? Two major functions. First one is settling disputes, contentious disputes. Submitted to it by states. Settling contentious disputes, resolving legal dispute submitted to ICJ, submitted by states. So the key aspect is that it is always state versus state. You can take only those disputes between state to another state. And the judgments are binding on the parties. But the problem is enforcement. Next is another key function is advisory opinion. Advisory opinion. Advisory opinion provides legal answers to questions submitted to it by UN organs. Questions submitted to it by UN, authorized UN organs, specialized agencies, etc. But advisory opinions are not legally binding. So it basically takes up the disputes between state and state, sovereignty matters, boundary disputes, all those things. It was in also in news because of Cambodia, Thailand, yeah, temple, Priya Vihar temple issue. That was also another case. Then Chagos Island, it was in news. See, judges are basically, though they represent a nation, they are completely independent of that nation. Getting it? You can stand in that election. You are not representing any state. That's it. These judges are not representing any state, but you can say that because he is having a nationality, you will say that he is of that nationality. See, there is no, that, see, he'll be obviously he'll be having judicial qualification, but there is nothing criteria that he has to be a former Supreme Court judge. He should have that qualification. He will represent, see, there is a quota for every grouping. So you can contest from Asia Pacific, say for example. So this time actually it's a very strange situation in ICJ where Asia Pacific representation in that sense is having 2 members. Because every election in ICJ, UK will used to have 1 member. So this time UK is not having member. Because in the election to ICJ, UK's candidate lost to Dalbir Bhandari. You cannot say lost to, election happened. There was, see, the condition is what? You should win both UNSC and UNGA. So what happened? Every time UNSC, UK won. India is not there. In UNGA, India means Dalbir Bhandari won in every election. So there was no consensus. Both were not winning. So finally UK withdrew its candidate. That is how he got elected. So he basically won't represent any country once you are part of that. But you can push him as a candidate. See, you want that because Pakistan is doing many things. So you want at least somebody who knows Hindi is there, so we can tell. Kar do. ICJs? See, South African take the matter. One is, if you are party to genocide convention, then you can take the matter to ICJ. So South Africa is also party to genocide convention. Israel is also party to genocide convention. South Africa said, "Aa jao mere saath." ठीक है. But remember, ICJ is not having the power to sentence a leader. ICC is having the power, yes. ICJ is not having the power. These things are handled by ICC. So if that happens, UNSC will refer the matter to ICC. But no major countries are in ICC. USA is not there, Russia is not there, China is not there, India is not there. South Africa is there? ठीक है. So this is also important. Okay. It was in news because of Venezuela also. Venezuela, both like 51 was also in news, this was also in news. You can come and do anything against a president, you enter his house and taking him and putting in your jail. Only Trump can do these kind of things. After that, everybody was very cautious. Whatever Trump say, they won't say no in WhatsApp. They say yes. He is telling every day something. That is also like Nobel Peace Prize is also possible. Which among the following won Nobel Peace Prize? Eventually. If there is a clause, last part of the question. or technically and eventually. Okay, so technically somebody won, but eventually that prize was given to. Now, can you give that prize to somebody else? No. And why she gave? Huh? You Nobel committee. Okay, ठीक है. Nobel committee will ask you before, right? Whether should I give you something, Nobel Peace Prize. That time itself, she might have messaged Trump, I'm getting, I'll give you. ICC, International Criminal Court. So it is independent international tribunal. So it is not like ICJ, which judge countries. It will prosecute individuals. It is established in 2002 by Rome Statute. Rome Statute is an international treaty. Now you need to know ICC just because if there is a question on ICJ, the traps will be related to ICC, that's it. So its headquarters is also same, The Hague, same city as ICJ, but it is independent of United Nations. Its core mandate is called as the Big Four Crimes. Big Four Crimes, that is its core mandate. That is genocide, crime against humanity, war crimes, and crime of aggression. So these are crimes of utmost severity. So you can take the matter if the accused is a national of the state which is party to Rome Statute. You can take up the issue to ICC if the accused is a national citizen of a state party which is signatory to Rome Statute, or if the crime occurred in the territory of the state party, or if UNSC refers the matter to ICC. Three things. Anybody did such a heinous crime or what? Very much worried. क्या होगा मेरा? Dictators are sitting, I think. First one is, if that accused, if the national of the state party, which is a party to Rome Statute. Second is, if that crime happens in the state party, which is a state party to Rome Statute. Third one is, if UNSC refers the matter to ICC, even if the state party is not party to Rome Statute. Repeat. Sure. Same, it is not possible, but I'll repeat the concept. If the matter is referred by UNSC to ICC, even if it is not a party to Rome Statute. So this is the case of if you are party, or if that crime happened in your country. But if it is referred by UNSC, even if they are not party to ICC or Rome Statute, still it can be referred. So here the number of judges are 18. Just remember, for a comparison perspective, term is same. Its judgments, it was also in news because I think Philippines former president was arrested based on an ICC order. He was trying to escape or something, so he was arrested in flight, he was taken. You thought it is a movie. from a clip from a movie? Okay, never heard about this issue. Okay, very good. So its judgments are binding, but it is enforceable how? Through the cooperation of the states. States should cooperate. That is why to many states Putin is not going. Because many countries filed a case against Putin. If Putin lands, they are saying that I will arrest and take him inside. So Putin visits only few countries, China, Korea. We are dost, not like very close friends, so we can have good relationship. Now, France president is here. Now most probably Bangladesh Prime Minister will. So former Prime Minister and new Prime Minister will have a conversation also in India. But remember, US, Russia, China, India, these are not, not party to Rome Statute. So they are free. Next is World Health Organization. I know that these topics are not so interesting, huh? Any? No, they cannot be reappointed. क्या बोल रहे हैं? See? Exact sentence. I know this is not interesting. No change. Exactly my statement is repeated. Okay. Yes, so these topics are not so interesting. But you are getting 2 or 3 questions. You need to know this thing. You will get one question from UN bodies, that is almost certain, either match the following or statements. You need to know. So UPSC is about, see, anyway you made a decision. You need to make sure that you took a right decision by making a decision right. That is what Ajit Doval said. Instead of taking, who said? Elon Musk, ठीक है. 2-3 लोग बोला है, ठीक है. Now I also said, okay. You can quote me also tomorrow. So instead of taking right decision, you make a decision right. So in your case, anyway you took a decision. You need to make it right. The problem is that you are not putting effort to make it right. Many people are like, will later regret, then they will leave, then they will curse and study. Because see, it is very difficult to study after some age, especially if you cross 30, 40 and all, it is very difficult. Because you won't get that level of concentration. So generally what happens is that you don't have any mind to study. Accidentally you cleared PT, then you will study. Accidentally you cleared mains, you will study. So that time only you are getting motivation. So otherwise it is very difficult. I'm telling you, you just go write down the time you are actually studying. You will be surprised. You are not even studying more than 2 hours. But you will sit for 10 to 12 hours. But your actual study time will be very much limited because you will keep on taking up the phone. Thoda reels dekh liya, wo to, then it will go 2 hours. You won't feel hungry, nothing. But the moment you open, you will feel sleepy. You are hungry, you need some snacking, you need to go out, you need to talk with your friends, you need to see WhatsApp status. Even Faltu status also you will watch. Nowadays there is a lot of AI status. So for example, like when in my case also, because you are having a lot of like different categories of people, generally morning is that one AI will come. Good morning, it will tell. And these AIs are now coming through WhatsApp groups. So morning is now like that. So some status will be there which is even if no use, you will just see and you will just spend your time on these kind of things. So you need to make your decision right. For that you are, with respect to PT also you are in time. It is boring. It is not that like giving any kind of dopamine, but you need to do it. And the people who did that boring work properly, they cleared this examination. So the only option is you should not negotiate with your body. I always used to say that. If you every day, if you need to negotiate with your body, then it's very difficult. You need to have a clear, okay, this is my morning, this I am going to do, this is my class, this is my like test, this is my revision, this is it. You should not deviate from that particular timetable or discipline, whatever you want to call it. But every day, if you want to negotiate with your body, you won't get up, or even if you are sleeping late, you won't study, but you will just sit and watch some series or something and you will waste your time. So please don't do that. Make your decision right. World Health Organization. So now this is, we discussed the police, we discussed parliament, this is health department or medical advisory body. It is a global medical advisory body. So it is a specialized agency. You know that relationship or difference between principal organ and specialized agency. It's a specialized agency of United Nations which deals with international public health. Established in April 7th, 1948, celebrated as World Health Day. And its constitution or charter is adopted at the International Health Conference in New York, 1946. International Health Conference, New York, 1946. It operates through three main organs. Three main organs. First one is World Health Assembly. World Health Assembly. It is the highest decision making body. Which basically comprises of delegates from all countries. Delegates from all countries. All member states. So it's the highest decision making body. So it decides the policies, determines the policies, approves the WHO budget, and adopt international treaties. Next is Executive Board. Executive Board. It comprised of experts, health specialists, experts elected for a 3-year term. Elected for a 3-year term, and it will give effect to the decisions made by WHO, World Health Assembly. It also nominates Director General. It nominates Director General to WHO, World Health Assembly, for final appointment or approval. Third organ is the Secretariat. Secretariat headed by Director General, which carries the day-to-day activities. Its funding is similar to what we discussed, assessed contribution and voluntary contribution, same thing. Assessed is the membership fee or mandatory for members, and voluntary contribution is by donations. US is the biggest contributor in assessed contribution. Yeah, US was the biggest contributor, both in assessed as well as voluntary. In assessed, China is the second. But not in voluntary. Another key aspect is that international health regulations, IHR. International health regulations. So it is the IHR which gives WHO the authority to declare public health emergency of international concern. Public health emergency of international concern. And WHO can declare an emergency even if the state experiencing the outbreak rejects it. Even if the state experiencing the outbreak objects or rejects it. So that is an important aspect. It gives WHO the power for collective oversight. Next is there is also a proposal, there is a new pandemic agreement in 2025, a new pandemic agreement negotiated under Article 19 of WHO, negotiated under Article 19. Article 19 basically allows binding conventions, binding aspect. So this is considered to be like the proposal is to implement it as a legally binding instrument. So it is negotiated under Article 19 and it is only the second such agreement. It is yet to come to force. It is only the second such agreement. The first was Framework Convention. Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. So under the pandemic agreement, it mandates a PABS system. What is that? Yeah, pathogen access and benefit sharing. Similar to the access and benefit sharing model. Pathogen access and benefit sharing. So the country should share the pathogen data and they will be getting some kind of vaccines or other benefits by the manufacturer. That is basically the idea. Access and benefit sharing. You give the access, they will manufacture the vaccine, they may give something to you, they may give something to the WHO. So that is basically the access and benefit sharing model. Ah. See, that is why they are giving such money, right? So they used to support all such multilateral bodies. UN also, they are the largest contributor. It is their interest. Now they are saying that it is not serving their interest. Now they are against it. Previously, see what happened previously when it was established, second after World War, they want to come up with a system, whether it's Bretton Woods system or UN system, everything, so that to protect their interest. Protected their interest, they contributed it. No, in this case, nothing. That happens in Bretton Woods organization. In case, nothing. In case it is more about a moral obligation, white man's burden. No. See, in assessed contribution, China is second. In voluntary contribution, it is only 0.14%. So total you cannot say. Total there will be many European countries which will be contributing, because in only in assessed contribution it is becoming a major player. Voluntary contribution, assessed it is second. Now with the US withdrawal is a process. When it has to come through a US legislative process, so it will take time. And that legislation through which US entered this also says that you need to complete your obligation with the body you are exiting. That is what the US legislation says. So you cannot say that now China is the officially, because US halted it, but that doesn't mean that US said that we are not going to contribute. So it will be technically it will be wrong to say that. So these are the things. We'll stop it for today. Very pathetic. This is actually insulting. Okay. When question comes, that time you will remember. But that time you will remember only my face if you are not revising.